Shifting trade policy with the United States has also had a major impact on the latest interest rate decision from the Bank of Canada, which just came out this morning. The bank is holding it at 2.75%. But this decision was considered a close call by economists. The governor of the Bank of Canada, Tiff Macklem, says the path forward is still largely uncertain, given this country's changing relationship with the United States.
Since January, we've had a seismic shift in U.S. trade policy and a sharp increase in uncertainty. New tariffs are now in place on key Canadian industries and on every other U.S. trade partner. Financial markets in Canada and around the world have violently repriced and remain volatile. Households and businesses in Canada and beyond are bracing for weaker growth and higher prices.
And our Scott Peterson was watching all of this for us. Okay, so Tiff Macklem, during his statement there, he outlined a few different scenarios, two in particular, of how things might go. What did he say?
Yeah, I think the most profound thing that he said was that he really doesn't know what's going to go forward, like a lot of Canadians, like a lot of economists, and it all comes down to the White House, and it all comes down to that one person in the White House, and that's U.S. President Donald Trump, sort of outlining two different scenarios, one having to deal with the inflation of tariffs and how that slows the economy. And that combination of a slowing economy and rising prices is stagflation, and that's famously hard for any central banker to fight. But the Bank of Canada is a very simple mechanism. They have the ability to raise rates and to lower rates, and it's all about, as he reiterated this morning, price stability, and that's all it is. But for years, and I don't like using this analogy a lot, but it is like driving a large ocean liner. That you raise rates, you lower rates, and it takes sometimes years for that to trickle into the economy and to affect the economy. But now he's saying it is hard to plan for anything going forward. So he does see, as you mentioned, rising prices, a slowing economy. And he's used words like we're seeing a violently repriced economy, weaker growth, higher inflation, and in effect, stagflation. And so he said that the year started off well, but with the uncertainty, particularly with the White House, it's no more certain now than it was at the beginning of the year. And that is a famously difficult thing for not just economists, but certainly central bankers to plan when you have no ability to make plans.
And he was talking about those opposing pressures and, as you stated, an environment of rising prices. We know, of course, supply chains have been impacted, and that was one of the scenarios he laid out too, further implications there. So how does the Bank of Canada prepare for these scenarios?
You know,
potential scenarios.
Potential scenarios and potential scenarios and potential tariffs and potential unknowns on top of the unknowns that we already have. It's exactly right. He took question after question on that, and there was only so many ways he could answer the same question, is that we simply don't know, that they have the inability to plan for it. And there's an interesting quote that he did say that basically, faced with uncertainty, there's the Bank of Canada is going to be less forward-looking than usual, and that's just basically saying that he's going to adapt a wait-and-see attitude, but already saying that he's seeing businesses being affected, their business growth is slowing, investment growth is slowing, higher prices can mean a loss to the housing market as well. So there's a lot of different things potentially being played out here that he just can't itemize on a balance sheet like he could possibly in the old days.
Thanks for this, Scott. That is the CBC Scott Peterson.